In this video, I'm going to walk you through the process of completing Lab 3. I've already downloaded the SQL file for Lab 3, and I'm going to start by filling out my name and the correct date. And question 1 asks you to show the distinct state province values from the customer table. So let me look at the employee table instead. And I'm going to find the distinct titles in the employee table. So let me start by just showing all of the titles. So here are all of the titles, and now to show just the distinct ones, I can use the distinct keyword in my select clause. So this would be select distinct, and I capitalize it because it's a SQL keyword. So here are the distinct titles. Question 2, project all the columns from the purchase order table, limit your results to suppliers 802 and 803. Use OR condition in your where clause. So instead of the purchase order table, let me go to the invoice table. And I want the invoice number here. So let me go ahead and show all the invoice numbers. Star. So here's all of the data from the invoice table. And now to limit it to just invoice number 206 and 208, I'm going to add a where clause. Or so this should just be all the data for invoice numbers 206 and 208. Project all columns from the purchase order table. Limit your results to suppliers 802 and 803. Use the in condition in your where clause. So the in condition, let me just write this same query using in instead. So you can see the syntax for that. So I'm just giving a list of all the values separated by commas, and this is going to be a set of values, and then I'm looking for the value of invoice number in that set. And I get the same results. So you would do the same thing, except you would look in the purchase order table and look for supplier numbers that were in the set of 802 and 803. Name and title for all employees with emp ID value less than 6. How about name and value for all, or say name and state province for all customers with customer ID less than some value. So let's find out what the reasonable values are. And I'm going to include the customer ID so I can see what the values are. Okay. So I'm going to look for the customers with a customer ID less than 106. And now that I have this part working, I don't actually need to display the customer ID anymore. I can still use it in the test even though it's not being returned. Great. Invoice number and customer ID for all records in the invoice table which have a total price value less than 100. Sort the results by customer ID in descending order. So let's look at the stove repairs instead of the invoices. And I'm going to return the stove number and the customer ID for all of the records where the cost is greater than 50. Make that greater than 40. So make that the repair number. And the customer ID for all records in the stove table where cost, and I could either use less than some number to get the ones that were less than, or I could use greater than, or less than or equal to greater than equal. So let's just use cost greater than 40. Now notice I'm not putting a dollar sign in here. This is a number, it's not a dollar sign number. Okay, so here are my two repairs, and now in order to sort them in descending order by customer ID, I'm going to order by customer ID descending, and let's retab these a little bit. So now they're in descending order by customer ID. Type inversion of every stove in the stove table except the ones which are red or blue. Sort results in order by type, then version, eliminate duplicate values. So I'm going to show all the suppliers in Oregon or Washington, or all of the suppliers except for the ones that are located in Oregon or Washington. So let's start by looking at the supplier data. And we see there's a state field. So to get the ones that are not in Oregon or Washington, I can use where state not in, and then I put a set of values here. So it's going to be the set of Oregon or Washington. So here are all the suppliers who are not in Oregon or Washington. And then to eliminate duplicate values, I don't actually have any, but if I wanted to eliminate duplicate values, I could use distinct here. To sort the results in order by state and then by city, I can have a separated list of columns, and I think that's pretty much it. So instead of showing the type inversion, I'm going to return the name, city, and state. So they're ordered by state first, then by city. I'm returning all of the suppliers that aren't in Oregon or Washington. Now, I have 4 values coming back, but you'll notice that city and state, 2 of the suppliers are from Richmond, Virginia. And so they both get included because the name is different, so they're not distinct rows. But if I go ahead and get rid of the name here, oops, Try that again. Now I only have 3 results coming back because the 2 Richmond, Virginias got collapsed into one value because of this distinct. Show invoice number, total price from the invoice table for all of the invoices for customer number 125. List them in order of invoice date, then rename the columns using as. All right, so instead of invoices, I'm going to go for stove repairs again. And I have a date, a repair date here. So I'm going to show the repair number and the cost for a customer, and I have to find a customer here. Well, let's start with select repair number, cost, and I'll show the customer ID. From stove repair. All right. So to select customer number, say 122, I'm going to include a where clause. And in order to list them by invoice date, which actually repair dates, let me include repair date as well. Just so that we can see it. And then let's execute this. All right. So to order by repair date, I just use order by repair date. Tab everything out again. Okay. So to rename the columns using as, well, first I'm going to get rid of the ones I'm not actually returning. So I'm going to get rid of customer ID and repair date. And then I'm going to use as to rename the columns. So I think that should be it for this one. So repair number and cost of repair. Get the information for all invoices which have a total price between 100 and 200 inclusive. So that means including 100 and 200 in the range. Show the invoice number, total price, and employee number. Order the output by invoice number. So once again, let's start with all the data in the stove repairs table. So to find the ones with a cost between, let's say, 30 and 40, let's say between 30 and 50. So all the ones with cost between 30 and 50, I can say where cost between 30 and 50. Now I could also do cost less than or equal to 50 and cost greater than or equal to 30. This is just shorthand for that. So there's the one with cost between 30 and 50 inclusive. And I want to get the repair number, the cost, and I have an employee number. And then I'm going to order the results by stove number. by repair number, sorry. I think that should be it for this one. Display all columns from the part table for grill and widget parts. So I'm going to use the like test with wildcards. Let me find customers. No, let me stay with the stove repair table, I think. So let's look at the description for the stove repairs. Okay. So let me look for all of the repairs where something was broken. And so I'm going to look for the keyword broken. And now broken can be started with a capital B here or with a lowercase b. So I'm going to use an and. You probably won't, no, you will need that because you're searching for grills or widgets. So let me go ahead and start with where, description, like, and then I'm going to put a pattern here. So it's basically going to be any set of characters followed by broken followed by any set of characters. And this will match any string that contains the word broken with a capital B anywhere in the text, or like so. So this is going to match any string that has the word broken with a capital B or broken with a lowercase b. And there are my two broken items. And then on this one, name, street address, city, state, and zip code for all customers who have the last name White. So I'm going to look for all suppliers. That have a sales rep with the last name, let's go for Waters. So to match the last name Waters, what I want to do is add where sales rep like, and then what I'm going to have is the first name can be anything. So this will match any number of characters. And then I want a space between the first name and the last name. And then I want the name Waters. And then Waters has to end the string. So for example, I don't want to put a % here because then that would match Watterson or Waters, Bill, I don't know. But characters after that. If I want to match S followed by the end of the string, I just put a single quote there. So this will match any first name, space, and the last name, Waters. Oh, and I have an extra semicolon here, so let me get rid of that. Okay, so here's the supplier whose sales rep has the name Waters. And then I'm going to show, let's say, name, address, city, state. I don't have zip code in this one, which is okay. So, name, address, city, state. So that's the last query. Good luck on Lab 3. After you've completed it, be sure to save it and upload it to the Dropbox for Lab 3, and you'll get my feedback after I've had a chance to review it.